Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take a stack of sources, extract the most important insights, and give you a shortcut to being well-informed. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a really powerful and moving sonnet. It's Felix Randal by the Victorian poet Gerard Manley Hopkins. Now, Hopkins, he's not just any voice from the 19th century. He was a Jesuit priest, and his faith, his intellect, well, they're woven into every line. It makes for some truly unique poetry.
That's so true. Hopkins was kind of a poetic rebel for his time, wasn't he?
Definitely.
While others were sticking to, more standard Victorian forms, Hopkins was really breaking ground. He came up with this thing he called sprung rhythm. It's pretty revolutionary.
Rhythm. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, the idea was to capture how English actually sounds when we speak it. The natural cadences, sometimes uneven, not like a strict metronome.
Right, like how we stress certain words more than others.
Exactly. He wanted his poems to sound like that. And that, combined with his deep spiritual beliefs, let him tackle complex ideas in a way that feels really immediate, very personal. He was always looking for God's grace, even in, everyday life, even in suffering.
And Felix Randal is just a perfect example of that, isn't it? That really personal, spiritual angle. He wrote it in 1880. He was serving as a parish priest in Liverpool at the time, which could be a tough place.
Definitely.
And this poem, it wasn't just theory for him. It's a direct, really heartfelt reflection on someone real, Felix Spencer.
Right, the farrier. A blacksmith for horses, essentially.
Whom Hopkins actually ministered to as he was dying.
Yeah, from tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Hopkins was right there. He saw the decline, gave him last rites.
Conducted the funeral, even. It's an incredibly close connection.
It really is.
So our mission today in this deep dive is to unpack how Hopkins uses this very real, very personal experience and turns it into this profound look at, universal stuff. Illness, death, compassionate care, and also the quiet dignity you can find in just an ordinary life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And how his poetic techniques, they aren't just fancy tricks. They're crucial to the poem's power.
Exactly. Ready to get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, first, to really get a feel for it, we need to hear the poem itself. As I read, try listening for that unique rhythm we talked about, that sprung rhythm, and how the feeling kind of shifts as it goes. Felix Randal the farrier, oh, is he dead then? My duty all ended, who have watched his mold of man, big-boned and hardy handsome, pining till time when reason rambled in it in some fatal for disorders, flesh there all contended. Sickness broke him. Impatient he cursed at first, but mended, being anointed in all, though a heavenlier heart began some. Months earlier, since I had our sweet reprieve and ransom, tendered to him. Ah, well, God rest him all, road ever he offended. This seeing the sick endears them to us too it endears. My tongue had taught thee comfort, touch had quenched thy tears that touched my heart, child, Felix, poor Felix Randal. How far from then forethought of all thy more boisterous years, when thou at the random grim forge, powerful amidst peers, didst fettle for the great gray dray horse his bright and battering sandal. Wow, that opening. Oh, is he dead then? My duty all ended. It just hits you straight away. It feels so immediate. Almost like a thought just spilling out. What's the scene he's setting here?
It is striking, isn't it? It's not like a formal death announcement. It feels like a lament, almost a question he's asking himself. You get this mix of raw grief that, oh, is he dead then?
Yeah.
But also the priest's sense of duty now finished.
Yeah, my duty all ended.
Right. Hopkins, the speaker, was clearly very involved, and he describes Felix's decline so vividly, from that mold of man, big-boned and hardy handsome.
Such a strong image of health.
Exactly. Robust, strong, then contrasted with pining, that repetition.
It really makes you feel the wasting away.
It does. That slow, agonizing decline from TB, you can almost picture it.
So there's the physical side, but then he mentions reason rambled and fatal for disorders. What's going on there? What did those mean, practically?
Well, reason rambled.
Yeah.
That suggests his mind started to fail, too, towards the end.
Confusion, maybe disorientation.
Probably. That's just heartbreaking, isn't it? And the fatal four disorders, that's where Hopkins the priest comes in, theological.
Ah, okay, so not like for specific diseases.
No, not medical ones. It's a traditional Christian idea, the four wounds of nature. Weaknesses that affect us all because of original sin.
Like what, specifically?
Usually understood as ignorance, malice, weakness, and concupiscence or lust. So for Hopkins, Felix's sickness isn't just biological. It's also viewed through this spiritual lens. It connects Felix's personal suffering to, the bigger human condition.
Adds a whole other layer. And then it says he cursed at first, but mended being anointed and all. That sounds like a spiritual change, not a physical one.
Exactly right. Anointed means the last rites, the sacrament.
Okay.
So the mending isn't a cure for his body. It's about spiritual healing, finding peace. Felix was impatient, maybe angry at first, which is so understandable, right? Suffering like that. But then he finds acceptance, spiritual calm after receiving the sacrament. He mended his spirit. And Hopkins says this led to a heavenlier heart. He found peace, forgiveness, what Hopkins calls the sweet reprieve and ransom.
Wow. So it's about the comfort from faith and from Hopkins being there.
Yes. It's quite a shift from resisting his fate to finding this deep spiritual peace. And it makes you think, doesn't it? When you're facing the very end, what kind of comfort, what sort of mending really counts?
That's a deep question. And it leads us right into the next part, the sestet, the last 6 lines. The poem really shifts here. This seeing the sick endears them to us. Us too it endears. What's happening now? For Felix, but also for Hopkins.
This is the volta, the turn in the sonnet. And it's really powerful. The focus shifts from Felix's struggle and the priest's duty to the connection, the bond that forms between the caregiver and the person being cared for.
Endears them to us too it endears. It's mutual.
Precisely. It's reciprocal. It's not just that Hopkins feels closer to Felix through caring for him. The act of caring, of witnessing that vulnerability, it changes Hopkins too. Caring for someone who's so vulnerable, it deepens your own humanity. It creates this incredibly strong, almost sacred connection.
It softens the caregiver's heart as well.
Exactly. Enriches it.
And then the lines, my tongue had taught thee comfort, touch had quenched thy tears. There's such tenderness there. It feels so intimate.
Oh, absolutely. And the sound of it, too, that alliteration with the ton sound.
Yeah.
Tongue taught thee comfort, touch quenched thy tears.
Like tears that touched my heart.
Yes. It emphasizes how gentle, how almost physical this compassion is. The comfort wasn't just words. It was also, physical acts, wiping away tears. It sort of blurs the lines, doesn't it, between the role of priest and just being human, caregiver and sufferer. It's a picture of pure empathy.
It really is. And then, right at the end, after all that suffering and tenderness, he brings back Felix in his prime. It's like this burst of energy. Why end there?
That's such a vital move, I think. It's deliberate.
Yeah.
The speaker pulls back dramatically to remember Felix in his more boisterous years.
Yeah.
No longer the sick man, but at the random grim forge, powerful amidst peers.
Working. Strong.
Exactly. Shoeing that horse, it brings his strength, his skill, his whole vitality roaring back.
So it honors the whole person.
It honors the fullness of his life. Not just the ending, but his vibrant existence as a strong, capable working man. His identity. It reminds us that every life, no matter how, ordinary it might seem, has enormous value, dignity.
Yeah.
And maybe, too, Hopkins is subtly challenging the class system of his time, saying this laborer's life has inherent worth, even a kind of sacredness. Dignity isn't just about status.
That's a great point. Okay, let's try and pull these threads together, some key takeaways, and maybe a look at Hopkins' craft. What makes this poem work so well? First off, just boiling it down. What's happening in the poem?
Well, at its core, it's a priest looking back on the death of a parishioner he cared for. It traces the man's physical decline, yes, but also his journey to spiritual peace, and this really deep mutual bond that formed between them. It goes from duty to, real connection.
And the overall feeling, the mood, is it just sad?
Oh, no, not at all. It starts quite somber, maybe a bit matter-of-fact about death and duty done, but then it shifts. It really does. It becomes deeply compassionate, empathetic.
Yeah.
Even hopeful, I'd say.
Hopeful. How so?
Especially when he remembers Felix's strength and the spiritual peace he found. It moves beyond just sorrow. It's almost a quiet celebration of a life and a spirit finding peace.
Okay. And the imagery is so strong. Like mold of man, what does that make you think of? And that final forge image.
Mold of man is brilliant. It suggests, the perfect shape of a strong man, like cast from a mold.
Right, the ideal.
But maybe also hints at something that can break down.
Yeah.
Decay. Which connects to the illness.
Ah, I see that.
And the forge image at the end, powerful amidst peers, shoeing the great gray dray horse with its bright and battering sandal. It's so dynamic you can almost hear the hammer, smell the forge, see the power. It just brings that vibrant working life right back. A huge contrast to the sickbed.
Definitely. So if you had to pick one main message, one lesson from Felix Randal, what would it be?
Gosh, one message. I think it's profoundly about the dignity in every single life, no matter how humble, how ordinary.
Yeah.
And it shows the power of compassion, of empathy, of spiritual care when we're facing suffering and death. It transforms things. Hopkins seems to be saying true strength isn't just physical power, it's also finding peace, connection, dignity, even when things are incredibly hard. Seeing the extraordinary in the everyday.
That's beautifully put. Okay, let's touch on the poetic techniques because Hopkins is known for them. It's a sonnet, right? A Petrarchan one. Why does that form matter?
It absolutely matters. A Petrarchan sonnet has that two-part structure. The octave, the first 8 lines, and the sestet, the last 6.
Octave and sestet, got it.
Often, the octave sets up a problem or describes a situation. Here, it's Felix's illness, the duty. Then the sestet offers a resolution or a shift in perspective. And the turn, the volta, happens right at line 9.
This seeing the sick.
Exactly. That's where it pivots to the bond, the mutual endearment. The structure helps guide us through that shift from the physical reality to the deeper emotional and spiritual meaning. It's not just a container, it shapes the meaning.
And then there's his famous invention, sprung rhythm. We mentioned it earlier. Can you break that down a bit more? How does it feel in the poem?
Yeah, sprung rhythm. It's so distinctive. It really tries to mimic the patterns of natural spoken English, not a rigid beat. Instead of counting all the syllables, Hopkins focuses on the stressed syllables in a line.
The ones you'd naturally emphasize.
Precisely. So you can have different numbers of unstressed syllables between those main beats. It gives the lines this energetic, dynamic, sometimes almost abrupt feel.
Like someone really talking with passion.
Yeah, exactly. And Felix Randal, it makes it feel raw, immediate. Less like reading formal poetry, more like overhearing someone's intense personal thoughts.
Adds to that intimacy.
Definitely.
And lastly, alliteration. Loads of it here. Felix the farrier, pining, pining, tongue taught thee comfort. Is that just for sound?
It sounds good, sure, but it does much more. Alliteration, repeating those consonant sounds. It links words together. Felix the farrier. The F's bind him to his job right away. Pining, pining. The P sound emphasizes that slow suffering through repetition.
And the T's in the tender lines.
Tears that touch my heart, yes. The repeated T makes it feel incredibly gentle, intimate, almost like the touch itself. So it draws your attention, emphasizes meaning, adds music, and really boosts the emotional impact. It's working hard.
Okay, so we've really dug into Felix Randal, a poem that's just packed with thought about life, death, and those amazing connections we can make, especially when things are tough. It's incredible how Hopkins takes this one specific personal story and gives it such universal weight.
And he really lifts up the ordinary life of this farrier, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Shows us the dignity, the worth, every single person, no matter their job or status. The poem's heart, I think, is in the power of empathy, the importance of spiritual care, and how that journey changes everyone involved, not just the person dying, but the caregiver too. It really pushes us to look beyond the surface.
It definitely does. And it leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? How does encountering suffering and actually offering compassion, how does that change us? And what does it really mean to see and honor the quiet strength, the dignity in everyone we meet, even the people whose lives seem, unremarkable from the outside? Something to definitely mull over.
A lot to think about.
That's all for today's deep dive. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating topics.